Good evening.
Tonight, we're doing something different. It's been a light week for live viewers. So instead of moving on, we are walking the entire Lindsay Clancy trial week, start to finish, every day, every witness. This is the particulars. All right, so welcome back. I'm Lacey. I run a licensed PI firm, and I'm also a law student.
I'm Nick. Everything tonight is our opinion and analysis based on the public record. We are not attorneys, and nothing here is legal advice. Everything you're about to hear was fact-checked and verified as of this afternoon. Let's go over our segments for tonight. So, number one, obviously, we have the trial watch.
The Lindsay Clancy full week.
I'll throw this over here
Thank
so
you.
you can see it.
I don't have my glasses
I know.
on.
He needs his glasses.
I can't see without my glasses. All right, so
segment 2, we're going to go into the legal minute.
yes, and it is I'm so excited. I wanted to throw this in, and I am super pumped about this one. Okay, and then I'll give you a little glimpse. Okay, so the legal minute tonight is genetic genealogy.
Mm-hmm.
Then the evidence of the night.
Oh, was this about last night? What we watched? The genetic genealogy?
It ties it.
Okay.
It's connected.
Yeah. Segment
Everything is connected.
no.
There are no
No
coincidences.
Segment 3, evidence of the night.
A Massachusetts cold case cracked after 41 years.
That's pretty wild.
And then the red flag may look like one that we've had earlier in the week, but it's not. It's a connector, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different red flag. Quick reminder for anyone just joining. Lindsay Clancy is on trial for the deaths of her 3 children, Cora, Dawson, and Callan. She's never disputed that she caused their deaths. The fight is over her mental state under Massachusetts' lack of criminal responsibility standard, the formal name for what people usually call an insanity defense.
Because of a mental disease or defect, did she lack the substantial capacity to appreciate that what she was doing was wrong? Or to conform her conduct to the law? Once that's properly raised, the Commonwealth has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she was criminally responsible, both capacity to understand and capacity to control. The defense doesn't have to prove zero capacity, just that it was substantially impaired.
Who's ready to get into this?
Yes.
So we're going to go day by day. There were 4 court days this week: Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. No Tuesday session, okay? So we're going to start with day 1, Monday, July 27th. That was openings and Patrick Clancy begins. Prosecutor Buckingham told the jury this was a deliberate, meticulous killing. A calculated decision, in her words, not a mental health referendum. Defense attorney Kevin Reddington didn't dispute that Lindsay caused her children's deaths. His argument: severe postpartum psychosis compounded by over-medication.
Patrick Clancy took the stand around 11:45 a.m. as the prosecutor's first witness. He testified to the relationship timeline, met Lindsay in 2013, moved in together in 2015, then walked through her mental health decline starting September of 2022. A trip to New Hampshire where she told him she was going to start Zoloft, though he later learned she'd already had this prescription before telling him.
Between September of 2022 and January of 2023, she was prescribed medications by at least 3 different providers. Patrick testified she'd disclosed thoughts of suicide and of harming the children in the months before the killings.
A docket confirmed detail for anyone tracking the actual charges, not just what's in the news. 3 counts of strangulation or suffocation were formally dismissed. Here's that word again. How about you say that one?
I put the pronunciation in for you.
Yes, it's noli prosequi. That's how we're going to say it.
I thought that was fantastic.
Was it good?
That was good.
All right. It's got the full, phonetic.
Or you could.
Yeah. Often, it's just shortened to no pros. in
I'm trying to help you out.
I know in attorney lingo.
Yeah,
and in the
which
courts.
there's a lot of it.
So-
But anyway.
And that was
sorry.
on July 8th and 9th. In plain terms, that's the prosecution formally declining to pursue those specific counts, the strangulation and suffocation. The murder charges stand. Those 3 additional counts do not.
So, a notable prosecution move on Monday. ADA Jennifer Sprague introduced a bag of Lindsay's prescription pills into evidence.
We talked about that before.
Arguing many bottles were still largely full, meaning she wasn't taking most of what she'd been prescribed. That's the state's inference, not a settled fact. Bottles can be full for a lot of ordinary reasons, including, which we had talked about, switching medications.
Yeah.
I mean, and if we have gone, I'm just going to say that because, my take on that was anybody that has ever had any kind of medications prescribed.
Right. I was just reviewing mine actually today. And
When you go through, like, I guess, trying to establish.
especially with mental health disorders.
Yeah, sometimes you may actually have different providers. You may not jive with a certain, and you may have to change a whole different provider. But again, you'll go through all of those things, and
and certain medications, they just
there
they
could be
just
side
not,
effects.
They're not.
There could be.
Well, it's not just side effects. They're not getting the result that you are wanting.
Well, yeah,
So,
and you can also have like, there's dosage changes
Yeah.
too. Like you're usually supposed to titrate up. I mean, depending on what medication it is, and you could say you're on X amount of something over an extended period of time, and you've kind of, so to speak, maxed out on that dosage,
Yeah.
but you feel like you're not really seeing the benefit of
Right.
it. They may switch you to another. So
Right. and of course the side effects.
Yeah, and
But-
it wasn't something that I saw like, she kind of made a big deal about holding up the bag, and I was just like, I wasn't really.
It's
I know,
it's a
but
game,
I
it's-
wasn't
it's a
necessarily
show.
thinking.
I know.
Oh, okay, well.
Yeah. But
anyway.
we look at things through a different perspective than a lot
Right.
of people do. So
Right. So that was kind of the big show
Yeah.
for Monday, right?
Yeah, and we didn't have session on Tuesday, so day 2 was on Wednesday, July 29th.
Correct. So Patrick's testimony concluded Wednesday. The significant new detail: about a week after the killings, Lindsay called him from the hospital and said she'd heard a man's voice telling her that if she didn't do it now, she'd lose her chance. He testified she'd never mentioned hearing a voice before that call.
On cross-examination, Patrick described Lindsay as very dedicated, a mother who did everything for the family. And those are quotes, very dedicated and did everything. He confirmed she always took her medications as prescribed and tracked them in a journal. Her mental health worsened in December of 2022 after a doctor increased her Seroquel dosage. 2 medical center visits followed, including a multi-day locked ward stay in early January of 2023.
Defense attorney Reddington told the jury directly in his opening exactly how severe Lindsay's injuries were from the fall. Quote, she exploded her thoracic spine, shattered her cervical spine, first disc, broke every rib. So I think that was a notable, because there's been a lot of talk, like a lot of coverage on this case. So I feel like we'll put in some of those quotes when it kind of is fitting, so to speak. I mean, I don't want to sit there and just quote constantly
Right.
at every part of this trial, but I thought that was notable because people had some questions on some of the videos floating around about
Well, yeah, she's a paraplegic now.
I know, but like people were like questioning some of those things. Like, well, did she really do this or did she really do? Well, I mean,
on the redirect, Sprague asked Patrick to confirm the second floor window drop was 12 feet. He testified he'd never personally measured it, but believed that was correct. So,
Also-
a 12-foot fall, and then you have to include the height of your body. A fall from just standing can cause TBI.
all right. Well, I'm just going to say, I don't know that anybody necessarily, I mean, maybe your dad, but I don't know that anyone would be able to say, well, this window is X amount. I don't think that's
Well,
ever.
you think about it, ground level.
I know what they were trying to determine, but
Second
in theory,
floor,
it's like, yeah.
typically,
like,
you know, you have 8-foot ceilings plus the floor.
okay, I've never thought
distance.
that. Never has
That-
crossed
well,
my mind.
as a
like,
as a man,
yeah, I know. I
you
guess.
think you
but,
think about that stuff.
I mean, to each their own. But it's like I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
The 12-foot figure is Patrick's estimate under questioning. It's not an independently verified measurement. That's worth keeping straight, though.
Yeah, and Lindsay Clancy is paralyzed roughly from the sternum down since that fall. Reddington has told the court directly she requires 2-person assist for transfers and that her medical team has flagged an ongoing suicide risk requiring constant supervision. That's Reddington's own on-record statement to Judge Sullivan, not speculation. And I don't know, again, I don't know what everyone's doing as far as what they're watching, if any of this is coming through as far as like the clips, because, you know, I know there are some clips that are... I will tell you that I don't even want to say this because yes, it's my opinion. I watched some of the, and that, I'm sorry, I feel like this is just a horrible case. Like, I watched Patrick and then I watched Lindsay, and it's just, to watch them in this courtroom it's just.
You got to think their worlds are turned upside down right now.
Yeah, and it's just not. So all of that to say, because we are talking about Wednesday, the 911 call was played for the jury Wednesday. What's been reported by name in the courtroom, Patrick can be heard telling the dispatcher, quote, she killed the kids, and she describing blood everywhere, end quote. Patrick himself was walked out of the courtroom before it played. He was spared from hearing this and his own recorded screams. However, Lindsay sobbed uncontrollably in her wheelchair. Juries took a break after. And I say all of that because we talked about that, and I don't remember which episode we talked about it, but I feel like this is a very emotional case, even if, which I didn't put it in. I was going to put that in and I wanted to put it in.
We can come back to it. It's okay.
No, we can't. So I had what I was showing you. I showed you the video of
the
defense.
We will discuss that, and that'll be a legal minute segment.
Okay, we'll put it in
It'll
as
be
a legal
really,
minute.
and it was really good. Lacey showed me this video, and it was
very
really
good.
good. We'll put that in our legal minute for Monday, and
Maybe next week.
I may be able to actually play the video, and we can all listen to it. So.
Media cannot record, display, reproduce, distribute, or otherwise disseminate either. Everything we've just said is limited to what named courtroom press has reported. If you've seen images online claiming to be a transcript, don't trust them. We're not using them. And I say that because there are a lot of...
and we touched on that in a previous
a lot of like
too.
transcript. I don't even want to call it it's like a graphic, and it's like the transcript. And I mean, it could be true. That could be what was said, but
may not be verified.
Yeah, I mean, I would just caution.
Press tier worth including with attribution. In the 4 months before the killings, Lindsay was prescribed 13 psychiatric medications total. Antipsychotics and sedatives across psychiatrists, nurse practitioners, ED doctors, and inpatient staff. That is a lot.
And I will say, for clarity, depending on the source, I have like this specific, yes, but this was
medications.
Boston Globe, okay?
Right.
But I will tell you that depending on which outlet, they have said anywhere from like 11 to 13.
Yeah.
So again,
we're going off what the Boston Globe.
Yes, the 13 psychiatric medications total is from the Boston Globe. That is where I got that from. So again, like I said, depending on which media outlet you are choosing to follow,
it may be a different
that
number.
may be different.
Yep.
And again, we don't know what they are using as their
But again, this is
sample as far as time.
Our analysis again.
Yes,
so.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there.
Mm-hmm. A little bit about why Tuesday was dark.
Yes, the emergency motion.
Yeah.
And I am really eagerly waiting this. But Tuesday's scheduled session was actually canceled by the court. The defense had filed an emergency motion, docket entries number 152 and number 153, asking Judge Sullivan to instruct the jury to disregard specific portions of the prosecution's opening statement and Patrick's early testimony, the stated timeline of when the children were killed, and any reference to Lindsay searching, quote, ways to kill, end quote. Reddington calls that an ongoing false narrative.
Attached to the motion, an affidavit from digital forensic expert Steve Verona. I think that's it.
That's correct.
Docket
You
entry,
get a star.
Docket entry number 154, disputing the dates and times tied to those searches.
Yes, and as of our last docket check, there's no explicit ruling entry for 152 or 153. Testimony did resume Wednesday, so it was clearly resolved in the Commonwealth's favor in practice, but we don't have a citable order, so we're saying trial resumed, not motion denied.
Right. From my opinion, this is a live example of exactly what we've said before in Legal Minute. An opening statement built on disputed facts can have real consequences mid-trial. We watched that play out in real time this week.
On Thursday, July 30th, 10 first responders testified Thursday morning. Officers Stephen Hall, Brian Josephine, and Vincent Cahill. Duxbury Fire Captain P.J. Hussey, Fire Captain Keith Nett, firefighter and paramedic Patrick Dwyer, paramedic Jennifer Stratton, and Pembroke firefighter and paramedic Robert Costanzo, among others. Defense declined to cross-examine nearly all of them. And I'm just going to put also in that, I think that speaks, in my opinion, highly, because these people are giving a testimony and instead of kind of...
And it's also possible that the defense will have them as witnesses.
It could be. Or...
They just don't want to re-up all of the emotions.
I mean, because the defense had already put in that they didn't really want
right
all of these witnesses.
The less amount of those descriptions and descriptors from those testimonies getting to the jury is favorable.
Well, they didn't want to spend days and days and days, just being told the same thing over and over and over.
It's a decision that they made. It's a defense decision that they made. That's why
they may call them back later to do, but
to introduce something different.
I thought as heavy as Thursday was, I was like, okay, anyways.
So sorry. Officer Hall found Lindsay semi-conscious in the backyard. Cuts to her wrist and neck, not actively bleeding. He and Officer Josephine found Dawson first. Carried him to waiting EMTs, then went back down and found Cora and Colin, with paramedics already working on them. Photos entered into evidence showed a yellow exercise band next to Dawson's body and blood in the basement carpet.
Captain, I really don't feel like that's how you say that name, but...
Hussey?
Okay. Captain Hussey's account, he heard a scream, looked into the basement window, and saw Patrick, quote, unwrapping something from a child's head, end quote. His description of the scene is a whole, quote, it turned very chaotic very quickly, end quote.
And that's witness level detail from different
media
sources
outlets in the courtroom.
Yeah, Boston Globe, CBS Boston, CNN. Those are all cross-verified, all of them. So Reddington made an oral motion Thursday to reduce the number of first responder witnesses. After hearing, it was denied. Testimony continued as scheduled.
So that leads us to day 4, which is Friday, July 31st. Jurors visited 47 Summer Street in Duxbury, plus the 3V restaurant and a CVS in Plymouth. The 2 stops prosecutors say Patrick made the night of the killings. So the state's theory here is that sending Patrick to 2 locations was to buy time. That's the prosecution's argument, not a settled fact. Lindsay did not attend the view.
After the view, testimony resumed. Oh, here we go. Detective Sergeant Maffeo met Lindsay at South Shore Hospital, sedated, unconscious, couldn't be interviewed. He later returned to the home during the search warrant execution and described blood in the backyard under the window, on the windowsill, the ledge, 2 shingles below it, and up the interior wall and bed.
Dr. Mark Tenowitz treated Dawson at Beth Israel Deaconess Plymouth. Arrived with no pulse, not responding to CPR. The team worked on him roughly 40 minutes. He was declared dead at 7:28 p.m.
Dr. Benjamin Kaufman treated Callan. Arrived in cardiac arrest, regained a heartbeat after about 10 minutes, but never regained the ability to breathe on his own, and showed 0 brain function the entire time he was in Kaufman's care. Callan was flown by helicopter to Boston Children's Hospital.
So Judge Sullivan noted today that the case is actually running ahead of schedule and trial resumes Monday morning. And I will say that today was, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm kind of trying to think about this from all the different aspects of the case. And if I'm thinking about this as the jury, we just had Thursday of the first responders
Yesterday.
Yeah. And then today we go to the scene
And do a tour of
I feel like this week, I mean, first of all, this week you've got opening and then they lead off right with, I mean, Patrick.
It's
and then
moving pretty
and then
quick.
you do the witnesses and then you do, and like they did, you know, this week when they were going through, they showed evidence and like held things. I mean, I know that's the point of trial.
I feel like that is to be expected because we're talking about the Commonwealth presenting their case.
Yes.
The defense cannot really refute a lot of these things that they're presenting because their defense really solely rests on the fact of her mental capability.
Yeah.
2 things we found this week that press didn't report. Going back through the docket directly, on July 27th, the same morning, the jury was sworn in and the court conducted a voir dire hearing. That's voir dire, the process of questioning a specific juror one-on-one about whether they can stay impartial, with juror number 250 in seat 16. After that hearing, the juror was kept on the panel. There's also a supplemental order regarding protocol for media coverage of The View, filed the same day as today's jury visit. And meaning something about The View or media protocol changed at the last minute.
Well,
we don't have the order text itself, so we're just flagging it as an open item, not stating what changed.
I'm not trying to be like anyway, but I'm thinking in my head, we know this is a very high profile case. Okay. And I don't know I've never been
to Boston.
Yeah, I'd like to go. I'd like to go.
I've never been.
Like I can't say how big of a town or anything like that as far as like, but I'm thinking in my head, I mean, we know what's going on.
Yeah. And the whole town.
Yeah. I mean, so you think people probably, I mean, I'm sure they probably put some thought into this and they probably had like
you got a van full of people.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm just saying, like, I'm sure there was thought put into this, and I'm sure that's what they mean when they talk about media and things, because they're gonna have all these people there. It's the same thing.
You're gonna have people with
phone.
outbursts and things like that, and that's another thing. It's really tough because, you know, the jury instructions specifically state a lot of times they're sequestered. I'm not gonna quote.
We haven't gone into any of that.
But with that, again, we don't know what it was that changed.
Yeah.
But there was something, and from what we have experienced, it could be a multitude of different things.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna go into what we think it was.
Another day.
That'll be
another day.
Yeah.
So that's the full week. 4 days, more than a dozen witnesses, one still open fight over what the jury's allowed to consider from the opening statements. And if this deep dive is kind of coverage you've been looking for, hit follow. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we're tracking this trial start to finish. Everything we've got lives in one place, my friends. That is our link tree, and the link is in our bio. It's got our schedule, which you should already know, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I thought about this the other day randomly. There are people all over the world that have no idea. Like, I mean, it could be like, what, 1 o'clock in the morning? Could you imagine the dedication for somebody to be listening to this at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But you can catch the replay. If you can't catch the live, we do have the replay. But again, we also, you can't see it from here. Maybe before the end of the live, I will show you my shirt again. We do have our shirts, the Sticker Mule store. So every social media that we have is linked on that link tree. Our YouTube, everything's on there. So.
And a quick note before we move on, tonight is Clancy's start to finish for the anchor segment, and everything after this is new ground we haven't covered before. No repeat bridges tonight. If you're watching this as a clip and not live, follow, like it, share it, and check the coffee, our store on Sticker Mule, links all in our link tree.
You know what? I write these, and I'm the one that dedicates the time. So from now on, I'm going to pad these a little bit. So instead of me slating this as 10 minutes, I'm going to say this is like a 30-minute section. So you'll leave me alone with my squirrelisms.
Yeah, squirrel.
Okay?
Legal Minute. Genetic.
Who's excited
Genealogy.
for tonight's Legal Minute? Because
this is good stuff.
I am excited. So, the Legal Minute tonight, scroll back up there, sir. Genetic genealogy, investigative tool, not trial evidence. So, this one's topic, it kind of falls into, I like to say a two-part, but it's not really. So, there's a new Netflix documentary, and tonight's evidence of the night also is linked to our Legal Minute. Would you look at that? Would you just look at it? Let's set up the legal concept first, shall we? You've probably heard the term genetic genealogy a lot this week. Netflix just released a 3-part documentary on the Idaho student murders called The Idaho Murders College Nightmare, and it's put the technique back in the news. So to be clear, this is not a Kohberger case status update, okay? Nothing has moved in his post-conviction relief petition since we last covered it. Wednesday, I think.
Yep.
So that's off. It stays off tonight's show. However, we're using the documentary purely as the news hook for legal concept that also applies to tonight's evidence of the night.
Yeah, investigative genetic genealogy, IGG for short, is how investigators take unidentified DNA from a crime scene, upload a profile to a public genealogy database, and build out a family tree to try to identify a suspect. It's the same basic technique that's cracked hundreds of cold cases in the last few years.
Okay, so here's the part people mix up. Genetic genealogy identifies who to look at. It is not by itself what proves guilt in front of a jury.
In Kohberger's own case, that distinction is spelled out directly in the court record. Idaho's second judicial district court in, was it Lada County, addressed this in a written order. The IGG tip pointed law enforcement toward Kohberger, but as the prosecution itself stated in a filing, it, quote, did not provide law enforcement a substantive evidence of guilt, end quote. The prosecutor's own position was that the genetic genealogy was not used to get an arrest warrant, not used to get a search warrant, and would not be presented at trial.
What actually gets presented at trial is a separate step, a traditional STR DNA comparison, okay? So the standard direct DNA profile match technique courts have used for decades. In Kohberger's case, prosecutors described that comparison as a statistical match between his DNA and DNA on the knife sheath at the scene. That's the trial evidence. The genealogy work is how they found him in the first place, and it's an investigative lead, not the proof. So,
this distinction matters a lot for tonight's next segment, where the exact same lead generation technique, this time through a private lab called Ortham.
Has anybody had that on their sponsored?
Is how
Anybody seen that
investigators
sponsored yet?
identified a suspect in a case that sat cold for 41 years. Segment 3, Evidence of the night. The Mansfield baby doe case.
All right, this is a real developing Massachusetts case that's gotten almost no national coverage. So, which is exactly the kind of story we built this show to cover. So, on January 26th of 1985, a father and son were rabbit hunting off Fruit Street in Mansfield, Massachusetts, when they found the body of a newborn baby in the snow. The medical examiner determined the baby had been born full term and alive, with no injuries or defects, and died a short time after birth. No suspect was ever identified. For 41 years, he was known only as Baby Doe.
In 2022, the Bristol County District Attorney's Office, Massachusetts State Police, and FBI Boston reopened the case as part of a cold case unit expansion. 2 years later, in 2024, they submitted the infant's DNA to the company Ortham that we mentioned before, a private forensic DNA lab, for advanced genome sequencing to build an investigative genetic genealogy profile. That profile pointed investigators towards a specific family tree.
That work led them to Diane Curry Peck, now 59, of Attleboro, who in January 1985 was a 17-year-old senior at Mansfield High School. In 2024, investigators collected trash from her home. DNA from a discarded soda bottle allegedly matched the family profile.
And in August of 2025, she was interviewed. According to Bristol County prosecutors, she admitted giving birth in her then boyfriend's car, said she hid the pregnancy from everyone in her life, and described what prosecutors characterized as a pact between her and the baby's father about what would happen. The alleged father has since died. He passed away in 2020, so he will never face charges.
She was indicted by a Bristol County grand jury on June 29th of this year and arraigned the next day, June 30th, in Fall River Superior Court. She pleaded not guilty to a single count of murder.
She was released on a $10,000 cash bail and ordered to surrender her passport. Her attorney, Jason Maloney, said at this time that she denies the allegations and is eager for her day in court.
Her next court date is genuinely unresolved as of tonight. One outlet reports an August 31st pretrial conference in Fall River. A separate outlet reports her next date is in December. There is no publicly available docket number for this case yet. I pulled multiple. I literally tried my hardest to find this because, again, this is one where it's not getting news coverage. So we can't settle it against primary document tonight. I am still digging. We're reporting this as an open conflict. We're not picking one. We'll update you the moment we can confirm it directly, because this will be one that I add to my case tracker that I am keeping track of. But one more thing worth saying plainly: murder has no statute of limitations in Massachusetts. That's the entire reason a death from January of 1985 can result in an indictment in June of 2026. If you've ever wondered why cold cases this old can still go to trial, that's the legal mechanism.
And like Lacey said before, this case has gotten a fraction of the national attention of some of the other stories we covered this year. And there's no legal reason for that gap. It's simply a matter of what got algorithm traction, you know? A newborn who had no name for 41 years deserves the same coverage as anyone else. A crime was committed that was never resolved,
I have so many
never
issues with this
adjudicated.
case.
Moving on to segment 4, red flag. What we didn't use. And this red flag is a little different. This is our process. This week in prepping this exact segment, we came across a very detailed set of community trial recaps online. Full witness breakdowns, exhibit numbers, timestamps, the works.
It was extensive and very well done.
Genuinely more granular. She's patting herself on the back. Genuinely more granular than anything the Wire services published. We didn't use a word of it as a source.
We did not.
It's anonymous. Crowdsourced content, not a named outlet, and not a court record. And it had at least one clear error. Misnaming defense counsel entirely in one recap.
They had so many strong points.
If a detail that basic is wrong, we can't trust the smaller details. Exhibit numbers, exact quotes, without independently checking them.
I don't know why you're laughing, because
It's terrible.
I was horrified. And here's the thing, okay? I'm looking. Listen, okay? I will look to the ends of the earth, all right, for stuff. I am a digger. I enjoy it. He has to come say, "Hey, let's go. It's time for bed." Because I will sit and I'm going to connect all the dots. And you better believe if there's that piece of the puzzle missing, we're going to look.
We're going to try
under
to find
every place to find that piece of the puzzle.
All right, let's recap.
The glove didn't fit.
Let's recap tonight's segments. We had the trial watch.
Yes. One full week. I mean, I don't even want to say full, but it was one full week of the Clancy trial wrapped up this week.
We had our legal minute.
Yep.
With the
IGG.
genetic genealogy.
What was that song? IGG.
I don't know.
You don't remember that song? Somebody
Our
help me
segment 3, Evidence of the Night, covered a Massachusetts cold case cracked after 41 years. But there is a trial for it, so it's technically not concluded. And our red flag tonight is kind of how we do what we do. A little bit of what we do, and the lines we won't cross.
We'll see you guys Monday. Follow, share, find everything else, schedule merch, coffee at our link tree. Coffee. Our opinion.
Our analysis.
Not legal advice. Thanks for walking the case with us. We'll see you guys Monday.